Right. Let's begin from there. We've been told that your prolonged detention at the police at the time, it was not as a result of the police officers or the government itself, but it was out of your willingness. Take us through quickly what transpired and what led to your incarceration in police cells.
I think that statement is absolute nonsense. You know, it's a wonder that it would come from a government, you know, because we all know what the conditions are in jail. And God knows who would want to be in jail. You understand? In terms of what happened, it was on Thursday, right afternoon, when some 4 men came to my place, and they found me in the garden. I was having my lunch, my red lunch, because I had gone out earlier in the day. So I was in the garden, I was having red lunch. It was around, 14, 15 hours. And they identified themselves as police officers. Right. I asked them for their identity cards, and they refused to share their identity cards. And I told them, okay, fine, what do you want? They said, no, we want you to accompany us to force headquarters. So I said, okay, fine, let me call my lawyer so that he can accompany me. And they said, no, you can't call your lawyer. I said, okay, let me call my wife. They said, no, you can't call anybody. I said, okay, fine, I've got one of my people here. Let me ask one of my people around here to accompany me. They said, no, we just want you. I said, okay, that's fine. So we proceeded to get into their vehicle. It was a Toyota Mark II. And we proceeded to force headquarters. At that point, I wasn't even very sure whether they are indeed police officers. Right. Because, I've dealt with a lot of police officers. I'm a former police officer myself. And it is not standard practice for a police officer to refuse to identify themselves. Right. Genuine police officers who are undertaking genuine duty will not only identify their full names, but even their service numbers as well. Right. So I was thinking that maybe these people are just here to kidnap me, and they are taking me somewhere to be executed. That is what was running through my mind. So when we drove through the traffic of town and eventually landed at police service headquarters, I was relieved. Right. I was very relieved that, okay, at least they are genuine police officers. So we proceeded to go upstairs on the first floor. And upstairs there, we went into a room, and we were there for just about a minute. We were then subsequently joined by another gentleman who proceeded to ask me to go out of the room, so I had to step out. And after about 15 to 20 minutes waiting in the corridor, he said I can go inside the room. So I went back in the room. And I asked him to say, look, your colleagues here, the ones that brought me here, have refused to identify themselves. Can you please identify yourself? What is your name? So that gentleman was apparently quite civilized. So he introduced himself. He said his name is Mr. Kalala. Right. So I said, oh, okay, good to meet you, Mr. Kalala. So he said, you need to go with this gentleman. I said, oh, where are we going? He said, no, they'll guide you. I said, fine. So we left that office with the same 4 gentlemen that we had come with. Got back into the Mark II, and as we were driving out, they started debating among themselves, saying, okay, where should we take him? Others were saying, let's take him to Kawata Police. Others were saying, let's take him to Ridgeway Police. Others were saying, no, let's take him to Woodlands Police. Meanwhile, I was, just in the middle of the gentleman behind. So eventually, they set out to take me to Woodlands Police. When we reached the Woodlands Police, We alighted from the vehicle. We went to the inquiries office. We found a radio, an inspector on duty at inquiries. And they proceeded to tell the radio that they are from police headquarters and that they wanted to keep me in custody at their station there. And then they started walking out of the door. So the radio said, no, you can't just go. You need to fill in the occurrence book, the OB book, that big book that is kept at the inquiries. They said, no, you can fill in the inquiries book. They started walking out. Then the radio insisted, no, but you are the one who knows the reasons for the detention of this man. So you need to provide those reasons in the occurrence book. And so one of them came back and scribbled something in the occurrence book. And then he left. So that's how I was taken to the holding cells at Woodlands Police. And while I was there, my relatives came, and my lawyers came as well as my party officials, my national chairman, my youth chairman. There were about 10 to 15 people who came from the party that evening, Thursday. And they were not allowed to see me. And the people at the inquiries at Woodlands Police told them that they are under instructions from police headquarters that no one should see me. Yes. So that's how they all went back. And then on Friday morning, my lawyers came around 8 o'clock, and that time around, they were allowed to see me. So I explained to them, oh, this is the situation. So they said, okay, fine. We'll go to see the CID officers, the officer in charge, the CID officers, to ask them if they can charge you so that we can apply for police bond, or if they don't want to give you police bond, we can apply for bail. They take you to court. I said, that sounds good. So my lawyers went upstairs where the CID office is, and they were there for some time, up to about 11, 12. So I was wondering what is really happening, you know. Eventually, one of my lawyers came to the cells and said, oh, President Tembo, what is holding us is the fact that the officers upstairs, the CID officers, they don't know the officers from Force Headquarters who brought you here, the officers dealing with the matter. And them here are just holding you in custody on behalf of Force Headquarters. Right. So the officers at Woodlands Police cannot charge you. The only people who can charge you are officers from Force Headquarters. And we don't know who they are. So we've been trying to make phone calls. We asked this one, they said, no, I'm not the one handling the Tembo case. They asked this one, they said, no, I'm not the one. So I said, oh, okay. That makes sense. No wonder you haven't made progress. So I told my lawyers, said, look, these people who brought me here refused to identify themselves. But when they had taken me to police headquarters, I was able to ask one of the officers who came, who looked like he was in charge. Right. I was able to ask him his name, and he told me his name is Mr. Carrara. Right. So maybe that should be a starting point. Look for Mr. Carrara at police headquarters, and that Mr. Carrara should be able to guide you who is going to deal with this matter. So that's how the lawyers went back upstairs. They told the CID officers there upstairs, and the CID officer said, oh, okay, no, we know Mr. Carrara. So one of them apparently had his phone number. So they called him, and they said, oh, look, we've been trying to locate the people dealing with this case. And that was around 14, 15 hours. So Mr. Carrara said, oh, okay, the lawyers are there. I said, yeah, we are here. We've been here since morning. So Mr. Carrara said, okay, you come to police headquarters. Right. So apparently the lawyers went to police headquarters. I don't know what they discussed there, but they didn't come back to the holding cells. So I was not briefed. Only my relatives told me that, oh, okay, the lawyers were told to go to police headquarters and they haven't come back here. I said, okay, that's fine. So I was surprised because if the police really wanted to charge me on Friday, Mr. Carrara wouldn't have asked the lawyers to go to police headquarters. He would have come to Woodlands Police so that he does the warrant and caution and he charges me. You understand? Right. But he told the lawyers to go to police headquarters. You understand? So that was Friday. Then Saturday, nobody showed up. My lawyers told me, no, the police said they can only deal with this matter on Monday. I said, okay, that's fine. So at that point, I realized that, they schemed to kidnap me, because I want to call this a kidnapping. It's not genuine law enforcement. Genuine law enforcement is very simple and straightforward. If you want to arrest someone, you effect an arrest within an hour. You've arrested the person. And if you want to give a person police bond, within 10-15 minutes, you can give them police bond. And the person goes, if it's a bearable offense. If you don't want to give a person police bond, you take the person to court, so that they can have the privilege of applying for bail from court. But they didn't do any of that. So that is why I insist on calling this not as an arrest, but as a kidnapping. The Zambia Police Service, on behalf of the New Dawn government, on behalf of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, came to my place and kidnapped me. You understand? So that's what happened. So at that point on Saturday, on Friday evening actually, so I made a decision to say, look, I'm not going to be railroaded by Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and his government simply because I'm opposing him. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to protest this unlawful incarceration. I'm going to protest it. And the only way I could do that was to stop eating and stop drinking water. So I did that from Friday evening. By Saturday evening, I had developed some ulcers. Yeah, so my stomach was very painful. I wasn't able to stand upright. And consequent to that, I told the police officers who were on duty to say, I'm sick. And they refused to give me any medical attention. I said, okay, fine. If you want to kill me here, so be it. If that's a wish of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema to kill me in Woodlands Police Station cells, so be it. You understand? Because my only offense is to oppose his government, to do my job of being an opposition leader. That's all. That's my only offense. So if he wants to kill me, so be it. So that's how I went on a hunger strike. And of course, it got worse on Sunday, and then even worse on Monday. And lucky enough, the Human Rights Commission got wind of the situation. And on Monday morning, around 7 o'clock, the Human Rights Commission director, Mr. Mleya, came to Woodlands Police Station in my cell, together with his team of lawyers and a whole bunch of other commissioners. So they asked the police, but this man is clearly unwell. Why are you not giving him medical attention? And why haven't you charged him? So they said, you know the way the police operate. This one will say, no, it's that one. That one will say, no, it's the other one. That one will say, no, it's the other one. So it's a never-ending cycle. So Mr. Mleya demanded that I be taken to hospital. Yeah. So with the assistance of the Human Rights Commission, I was taken to Chilenje Level 1 Hospital. That was around 10, 11 o'clock on Monday. And then I was there, I got some treatment, I was put under observation, and consequent to that, I was released at about 15, 16 hours on Monday. And when I was released, I was taken back to my cells, to the holding cells at Chilenje. Right. At Woodlands Police. And so Monday passed. So then Tuesday morning, Mr. Karara came, and my lawyers were there, and they called me around 8, 9 o'clock. So I went into the office there. I was carried because I wasn't able to walk. At that point, my ulcers had gotten, very, very bad. And so I was in the office there. Then they did their own and caution, and they effected the arrest. They charged me with using hate speech against President Hakainde Hichilema. Yes. And then they said they are willing to give me police bond if I give them my fingerprints. And when you look at that form for fingerprints, you find that it's meant for a prisoner, because even where the signature is, they say, prisoner, sign here. So I told them to say, look, I'm not a prisoner. I'm a suspect. I can only become a prisoner if and only if a court convicts me, which hasn't happened. So I'm not a prisoner. If I sign this, I'll be admitting to the offense. And I'm not admitting to the offense. So you can't compel me to sign this form and give you my fingerprints and admit to the offense. So they said, in that case, we won't give you police bond. We'll take you back to the police house. So I said, so be it. So I was taken back to the police house. That is Tuesday. From about 11 hours up to about 14, 15 hours. And then my lawyer said, okay, fine. If you are going to use his fingerprinting as a, condition for giving him police bond, we are going to challenge that in court. So they went to their offices, that is Makebi Zuru and the associates, to draft the legal process to file in court. And while they were at their offices drafting legal process, the police decided that they were going to proceed to give me police bond despite my refusal to give them my fingerprints. So that is how I was released around 15 hours on Tuesday. That is 6 days after my initial kidnapping.
So you can confirm that you did not sign that form?
No, I didn't.
Now.
Yes, I didn't. Because I'm not a prisoner. So why should I be compelled to sign a form which in substance means that I'm admitting to the charge? You cannot force a person to admit to a charge when they are pleading not guilty. You want to compel them to plead guilty. What kind of law enforcement is that? That is why, when